Cast. It'll be a dry and comfortable day ahead of rain rolling in overnight and into our Friday. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently 82 degrees.
And it is Wednesday. It's the noon hour. That means it is time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion. And here's your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Rex Brandstatter, and it is time for Senior Talk on such a beautiful June day. I'm telling you, folks, this is a 1,000,000% better than yesterday, which goes right down there on the list of one of the crappiest days ever if you don't like heat and humidity all at once and elevated over the top. That was really something. And last night, a lot of communities paid for that with lightning and rain and storms, stuff like that. So whenever it's like that, you know somebody's going to get it. And it wasn't us. Hopefully it wasn't you, but somebody would have to pay for that, as we all know here in Iowa. Well, listen, time for Senior Talk, weekly radio program where I try to identify and examine and share important and timely information for you and we seniors. Thank you so much for tuning in and also spending a few moments out of your busy day to listen to Senior Talk. And I will do my very best to bring a lot of senior information to you and also some fun recollections of past people, places, things, and events. That is a fact. I am Rex Brandstatter. I'm 74 years old, and I think that we and you fellow seniors, I think we have a lot on our minds, and we're going to talk about it. And there's just so much of it that is centered around health when we're seniors that it isn't even funny. Oh boy, I have to stop right here. I talked to someone today. I said, I haven't seen your dad around for a while. And this young lady said, well, he's got some health issues. And I said, oh, no, now what? He's not in his 60s. I believe he's in his 50s. He said, well, he just has some sight issues. And I said, oh, my. So sight issues, folks, losing your sight would be the ultimate tragedy. Take my right leg, but not my sight. My. I'll keep myself posted on that one, that's for sure. Well, listen, I've been a licensed real estate broker here in Iowa, and I am working mostly in Iowa City, Coralville, Johnson County since 1974, helping people buy and sell houses, investment properties. I work with seniors most all the time. I work with lots and lots of estates. I get calls from attorneys. I get calls from the executors of estates, administrators. I get calls from family members, of course, and I sit down with each and every one of you, either at your home or at someone's office or my office, and we talk about upcoming housing issues that you may have. Maybe it's time for you not to own a duplex or a 12-plex. You can't handle the management anymore. You don't want to handle the management anymore and all the issues to go with that. Maybe it's time to get a house that better fits your needs. And remember, my saying is this. Your house didn't change, you did. You still got the house you built in 1958 or 1982, and still your house, still your neighborhood, but you've changed. You no longer can handle the steps to get upstairs to the bedroom or go downstairs maybe to the lower level to the washer dryer room, and you've got to make some changes. So, do we make changes to the house that you like and stay there? Well, there are a lot of factors to that. One of the factors, always remember this, is you buy or build in a neighborhood. And so if you're going to rebuild or remodel, you must check the neighborhood. What is your neighborhood doing? And I have some criteria, but the basic criteria is, I say, is your neighborhood doing one of three things? Is your neighborhood heading south? By heading south, I mean, do you have 3 rentals on your block and there's about 14 kids and young people living in each one? They all have a car and they're parking in the yard. Are there people changing the oil and the brakes on the 2 houses down every year, and he works part-time and people pull up with old cars? If that's going on in your neighborhood, I say your neighborhood's heading south, then you should move. I don't care who you call as a realtor. Call me if you like. Anybody. It's time to move on. Is your neighborhood flat? Not much happens there. Everybody seems to be doing pretty good. The houses I'm talking about. Or number 3, boy, this is the hot stuff. There's 2 new houses on the block. 4 houses down, they just repainted and they built on a new garage, and things are looking good. That's what you need to do. Under scenario number 1, if your neighborhood heading south, I recommend you move. But number 2, if you're at a minimum, if your neighborhood is staying what I call sea level, that's okay. But the number 1 scenario would be number 3. Your neighborhood is looking good. Your neighborhood is vibrant, and then I recommend you for sure stay there. Remodel your house and stay there. Why not? All right. Those are Rex's rules, and Rex's only. You come up with your own rules, and other people have theirs. Those are mine. Well, listen, you know, summer is here, and after yesterday, you'd agree it was so hot and steamy. A friend of mine called me from Florida, and he said, I was just looking on the Weather Channel. You guys have it hotter and steamier than we do down here in Florida. And he said, nobody wants to live here in the summer. And I said, well, nobody wants to live up here today, that is for sure. The humidity is the big thing. And, of course, as we know, living here in the Midwest, what do we always say? The humidity helps the corn grow. And as a matter of fact, this is scientifically proven many times for many years, is that a cornfield creates its own humidity and puts off lots and lots of humidity. So that plays right into the hands of it hot and humid in the summer. Well, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, it sure beats 10 below zero. This beats 10 below zero all day long, and that's my take. Another complaint I've got to register today is I don't know how they expect to get some of these road construction projects done when you drive past and there's nobody working there. Have you noticed that? You drive by and they got road graders and bulldozers and pouring cement, and you go by today and nobody shows up. And it's a nice day, and it didn't rain or anything like that. Where in the heck to go? Well, it's what I call the standard contractor. Take the job and then don't show up. Well, there's a road construction all over the city, and I swear to God, you drive by and there's nobody there. Well, I don't like that at all. So I'm getting some things off my chest. Well, you know, it's so hard to imagine the damage and the lingering effects that will be faced by the people in Greenfield from the tornado, and now a lot of small towns in northwest Iowa from the floods. And as we know, the water will recede, of course, but then what? See, that's when the work starts. The mud and the muck and the ruin and the travesty and the stench, and then you get cleaned out, and now do you really want to stay here? Do you want to live here? Who are you going to call to rebuild your home? Do you want to live right here again? Do you rebuild? What's your insurance company say? It is an absolute, utter challenge. And in those towns up there that have flooded out just tremendously, and in the tornado over Greenfield, as a senior, I have to tell you that I would not be up for that challenge. If my house blew away or my house flooded, I would not be up to the challenge. I'm in the position that if somebody wanted to buy the lot, I'll sell it to them this afternoon. Or, if you don't have a mortgage, you just walk away from it and later on come back when everybody's rebuilt and sell somebody the lot, let them build a house there. I would not be up for that challenge. I don't think I could handle it. I just don't. I'd move somewhere else up to high ground. You can't get away from a tornado in Iowa, but you can get away from the high ground. Speaking of tornado, a friend of mine, I'll tell you about that. Interesting. My neighbor and a friend of mine, they went to Janesville, Wisconsin last Friday to visit I think it's their son lives up there, and grandkids up in Janesville. And before we left, it was kind of hot and sticky last Friday. We were talking about tornadoes. He says, I'm getting out of here. I'll go up to Wisconsin, nice and cool up there. Well, Janesville's not that far north. So when they got over there, they had 4 tornadoes in that county when he was there, and it took out the house 3 doors from where his son lives. So I said, I haven't seen him since, but the tornado tracked him, God tracked him, and he just was off 3 or 4 doors. Unbelievable. Too bad for those people, but my buddy's shaking his brow, I'll bet you, these stupid tornadoes. So, what can you do? So I feel sorry for anybody who's affected by these things. Now, you see, all that water up in northwest Iowa and southeast South Dakota is all going to head down. Minneapolis is going to be in trouble from the Minnesota River and the Mississippi. They've had a ton of rain up there. Council Bluffs, Omaha are going to be in trouble. Wow, there's so much rain. They really got plastered up there. Well, a senior friend advised me that her condo has damage to the lower floors. Who pays for the water damage? The HOA will pay for their part. The condo owner, his or her part. Really? I said, well, yeah. She said, well, there's a first floor, has an office and a big lobby, and it's all flooded, and can they charge us, the members, the owners here, to redo that? Well, of course. Of course they can. They'll seek insurance first. Your HOA will seek insurance company first, have your insurance reps come out and then take a walk through and say, okay, I'm going to pick a number out, $500,000 to fix it up. But the contractor comes out, it's going to cost $680,000. Where are they going to get that $180,000? Well, under condominium association at HOA, condominium regime. They're going to, we've got 82 units. We're going to divide that money by 82 units. And we're going to give everybody 2 years to pay, and they're going to assess you $1,152 for a month. That's the way it works, folks. That's exactly the way it works. But it's the lower level lobby. It's the condominium association. Well, who do you think is part of the condominium? You are. You're a member of the association. It is. You are responsible for that. And that's not the answer she wanted, but that is the absolute correct answer to that. I just can't fathom all the damage and the details to get back to normal. The cleanup, the insurance, the vehicles, the room and board that you have to pay to go rent a room or a hotel room somewhere. And by the way, speaking of that, here's a question I'm going to fire at you. Your home insurance policy, of which you don't even know where it is. Hopefully you do. But I guarantee you haven't read it. Your insurance man or woman hasn't even read your policy. Right? They don't know what's your policy. If you call them, they'll say, we'll have to look up and see about your coverage. So that's what has to happen here. So all these things, your vehicle and your room and board and your time to rebuild, if allowed. Again, I don't know how many of you listening today would be up to that challenge. Not Rex. Did you see that some of those tornadoes up in Janesville I was talking about? One of the tornadoes took out, and I only saw it briefly on TV, it took out a church that's sitting on high on a hill and overlooks the valley and was built in like 1885. It took that out. It had absolutely smashed the smithereens, and they had cameras there showing the valley. It's an absolute beautiful setting. I don't know, it was Apple Valley or something like that. A beautiful setting. One of those stupid tornadoes took out that church. So now what will happen is, like all churches, they'll sit down and have meetings, and hopefully, it's up to them, of course, not me, resurrect, so to speak, that's the perfect word, resurrect the church and get some new esprit de corps going, and away they go. Or there may be so many seniors there that a lot of them opt out and just go somewhere else and they sell the property. You just never know what happened. You won't know until you're affected by it. And it's such a sad thing to think about all these years, and then a tornado takes you out. Not good. Well, a senior advises this. I just decided to pay the freight for my granddaughter to go to preschool. He was about 10 feet tall, ladies and gentlemen. I just decided to pay the freight for my granddaughter to go to preschool. What the heck, he said, $400 a week. Oh, wow. But she needs a good start, and I'm happy to help. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that a fun story? So I don't know any of the politics or financial of the family. I don't care. But this grandpa says he's going to pay for his granddaughter to go to preschool because she needs a good start. One of the big things that stands out to me, other than that, which is a neat thing, is $400 a week. I'm not in that business, and I wouldn't want to be in that business. We'll have about, 52 little kids show up every morning. I'd probably jump in one of those rivers that are flooded. That's just me. So I'm happy for that gentleman. He's a senior, and he is all excited. Good for him. A senior called and advised that he still has his rental house and needs a guy to redo the bathroom. He says, I need to put some money into the kitchen and the bathroom. I think I'll do the bathroom. Will it be expensive, he said. I said, well, of course it'll be expensive. What do you think? When's the last time you updated it? Well, I grew up there as a kid, and, he's in his 50s now, so he says it hasn't been updated since the house was built. So I said, yes, in that bathroom, a tub shower and a kitchen sink, or a sink and stuff like that. My observation would be the tub would come out, and then if you take the tub out, you don't just put a shower back in and put in a place to store towels, things like that. You can make some nice upgrade, new lighting, fixtures like that. I said, you're going to spend $15,000. And I think he about fell off his chair, but I said, well, what do you think is going to happen? People use that bathroom many, many times a day over all these years, 40 years. What do you think is going to happen? Well, I just didn't have a clue. As a matter of fact, $15,000 would be a good guess. I said, if I'm high, but $10,000 to $15,000. But I said, I don't know you get all that stuff and labor for that. I just don't know. Well, I read an article about Parkinson's, which is I had forced myself to read the article, but I just know so many people, friends and acquaintances, and not even seniors anymore are being now have Parkinson's. They are saying in that article that they are really close to defining the issue that triggers it. Now, maybe they've been saying that for years, but that wasn't the gist of this article. This article says and part of it's here at the University of Iowa, as a matter of fact, and they will be announcing this soon. And the bottom line on this article is if it all works out and they get the approval from the whoever FDA or whoever approves those things, they think they can figure it out anywhere from 5 to 7 years prior. 5 to 7 years prior to getting it, they should be able to diagnose you that, hey, Jane or Bob, you're in trouble here. Parkinson's is I don't know about the term, is on the way or in the bloodstream or in your DNA or something like that, and maybe they can then start treating it at a sooner level, I think is what they're talking about. So it was a hard article to read. Parkinson's, as you know, if you have it, you can read about it. There's some. It's a tough sled, folks. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So it's just a tough sled, and I read it, and it's even harder after you read it. But there's a little glimmer of hope, maybe for the people down the road a little bit, that they can do some work with them. More power to them. It kind of likens maybe to all the articles that come out about cancer. But I would tell you this: a lot of advancements have been made in cancer. There are a lot of cancer survivors, and that never used to happen in the 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 40 years ago. That just didn't happen. So now they've come a long, long ways. So let's hope this crazy Parkinson thing's is there too. Well, we got calls from a friend of ours. He wasn't feeling good. We're talking about health and seniors, and he said, well, he didn't feel good. He went to the doctor, and the doctor did a test, and it was one of the first tests they did rather than one of the last tests they do, which is you hear about, and he has Lyme disease. Now, that's Lyme. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's nothing to take lightly, because that's from a tick bite. And he does have a yard. Maybe I told you about it. He does have a yard with some woods in the back there. So he figures that's where he got it. So now the doctors at the university are working on with him, some sort of, I assume, medication. I don't know. That would be my guess. They have to head that up because those stinky little ticks, they're nasty people, and they too carry a disease that is totally debilitating if it goes far enough. Not good, folks. Not good. So, a senior man called me yesterday, and he said, guess what, Rex? I said, I have no clue. And he said, I have found a financial advisor. He said, we met for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and it seems he can't believe I have been doing all my own finances, financial management, and information for so long. And he says, boy, you've been at it for so long. But then he advised, your money in banks and investments that suit you. In other words, basically the stuff that you've picked out, what you're doing, he says you could do a lot better. And he said, I'm not here to sell you anything. As a matter of fact, he told me to go visit 2 other financial advisor people. So it wasn't like, oh, hey, I got a deal, get rid of that one, I got one here for you. He said it wasn't that conversation at all. He said the guy took, and he said, actually, I had sent him things, so it wasn't just like an hour and a half, because in an hour and a half, you can't tell everything about everybody and their finances, but this advisor had a run up to it with some things that this man had sent to him. And so he said, in other words, you've done a fine job, but you can do better. In fact, he said, the guy told me, he said he could do a lot better. So, and then he said, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm not a salesman in that respect. Go see 2 other people. Anybody you want. That's up to you. He didn't give me any name. So he says, I appreciate his honesty. And, folks, that's what you have to look for when you're at any age, especially when you're senior. You talk finances. You don't want to do anything unless it's right. You don't want to do anything unless you know the people. You trust the people. You don't make any changes. You don't want to give them any money, any of that kind of stuff. They have to come to you recommended. You have to figure them out. That's part of the recommendation. You have to go sit down and meet them face to face and check them out and see if they're licensed and look them up and all kinds of things. You just don't go meet with somebody and hand them over a pick a number at $150,000, $650,000. You don't do that. You go inch by inch, step by step, for sure. So I said, good for you. Have at it. I said, take your time and do go talk to other people. He said, I'm going to. This is very important for my wife and I. Good for him. Sort of a heads up here that you wonder where he's at now and or where he could have been had 20 years ago he'd thrown in his hat in the ring with a financial advisor. Good idea, folks. I'm calling a foul on the U.S. Olympic Committee. This is me. This is Rex talking. For not choosing Caitlin Clark on the team. Now, here's my story. I know they have to qualify, and maybe she didn't. I don't even think she got invited. And then somebody told me she got invited, but she's playing at the university at the time and couldn't go, and makes sense. And then she started her pro career right away, so couldn't go. However, somebody on that team just got hurt, and it seems to me she could be their first alternate. And maybe she wasn't as good as the other people, so we want to send our best. I'm not saying I don't know that she is the best. Part of the Olympics and part of any sport is advertising and public awareness. And I'm thinking that on an international, worldwide stage, at this point in her career, at this time frame right now, Caitlin Clark is the hottest thing going in women's basketball, maybe women's sports, maybe sports. I don't know. And I think the Olympics, the Russians have their drugging issues. I don't even know if the Russians are going there anymore. The Chinese are their normal self, and some of these countries are just crazier and pet coons on what they do and how they act and things like that. I think that they could choose Caitlin Clark, put her on that team. I think the TV ratings would go through the roof. I'm not particularly excited about the Olympics. That's up to you folks. I'm going to watch the wrestling, and I think that's about all I'm prepared for. That's just me. I hope you watch the whole thing inch by inch and knock yourself out. I think that they just a viewership would be over the thing. I think the advertisers would. In fact, the advertisers ought to get ready and sue the Olympic Committee because they would have had a chance to put her on there and draw more people watching the Olympics, which then draws more people watching their commercials. See how all that works? And but remember this: we're going over to do our best to win, and we've got to send our best athletes. I think she was well qualified. That's just my take. Guess what? They didn't even call me. They didn't even call me. Well. School is out for the summer, as we know, and I'm a big proponent of no school in the summer, unless you have to do it for grades. Then you got to do it, But I'm not. I don't have any kids, so I have no skin in the game here, folks. This is just Rex. I'm a proponent of, instead of going to school in the summer, that kids and families and experiences that you can earn from, and experience in the summer are extremely valuable to kids. And they don't have to be in a school, and that's my take. I'm just me. Learn things with the family on vacation. Learn things walking down the street with your buddies, kicking cans and going to ball games and going to camp and stuff like that. Those are valuable things too. So here's got to take a quiz. Since summer's out, let's take a quiz. We have one final quiz before you seniors can head out on vacation. Number one, are you postponing repairs to your kitchen? Bathroom? How about your bathroom? How about my buddy, the bathroom guy? The sinks, the faucets, the cracked mirrors, the tubs? Are you postponing that? Why? Why? Are you in need of new lighting in the house, in the kitchen, back in the bathroom? The lighting, well, that old light fixture up there, we can't even get up there. Look at that crazy thing. Folks, I want you to take care of your house. You've got to do this. You've just got to take care of your house is, quote, your castle, and you've got to do that. Do you have a key to all the doors from the garage to the house? Now, I get in lots and lots of houses as a realtor, and so many times, even many houses you go through, you go in the garage, you go right on into the kitchen or the back room. Nobody ever locks the door. So I would ask you, if you wanted to lock that door, do you have a key to it? You better look around. Does your storm door close tightly and easily? Now, that's going to be needed this winter, but also in the summer. You can lower it down so there's a screen door, as long as that door isn't flopping around. Do you have handrails to the basement and up to the second floor? Do you have handrails in the shower? We do at our house now after my wife tripped and fell. Now we have them. Of course, after it's been damaged, broke her leg. She's doing pretty good now, folks. That was last August. Do you have handrails and grab handles in the bathroom for your guests? You have that. Well, don't let them fall down. Well, folks, when you're seniors and you have senior friends come over, we all know it's not easy anymore. We don't move as fast. Heads up is like we do. If you open up your official junk drawer and find a bunch of keys, do you know what all those keys fit? Why not? Go label them. Get the keys out there, lay them on the table, march around the house. I think it goes to this door. I think it goes to that padlock. Then label them. and get yourself a big cork board in the laundry room or something and label them. These are easy things, folks. You think you can sit back and you're all organized. I'm saying you're not. Is your ceiling fan circulating in the right direction? You think, well, I can't get up there, and I don't want you to. I don't want you to get on a two-step or a step ladder. Step ladder's not so bad because they're at least the right height for you. And this time of year, it should be in the summer, it should be going counterclockwise, and in the winter, clockwise. So in the summer, counterclockwise. In the summer, counterclockwise. Well, how do you do it? Well, you get up there, there's a little button on the side, and makes it go the other way. Don't get up there unless you can handle it. You're not going to trip and fall. You're sure. Have the neighbor kid come over and do it. Don't do it. I'm just saying, does your ceiling fan run the right direction? Do you have funds in a checking account that could be earning interest somewhere? No, I'm not your bank. I'm not your advisor. But lots and lots of people. I have a friend of mine who had hundreds of thousands of dollars in his checking account. I said, well, it's your business. I can't tell you you're crazy, but I think you're crazy. Go put it in a passbook. Go do something. Go buy a CD. Do anything with it. Just in a checking account. Do you use all that? Well, no, not really. I'd like to have it on hand. Craziness. It's crazy. Have you checked your driver's license lately? We were laughing at a place a couple weeks ago, and I pulled mine out because I thought it expired next year. It expires in 30 days. So I updated it. I was shocked. I was the year off. I could have gone with an expired DL and drive around the block. Are you sure you signed up for the senior discount for your property assessment? Are you sure you signed up for their senior discount for your property assessment? If you call the Johnson County assessor or the assessor wherever you live, if you live in Iowa City proper, call the Iowa City assessor. You can go online and fill this out. Not a problem. Call down there. They'll help you. The Johnson County assessor or the Iowa City assessor. If you do that, you'll save $6,500 off your assessment. Well, that's not very much. That, folks, it's in your advantage to do that. Absolutely. Do you have newer and workable locks on your doors of your home? Well, the one in the back, you got to jiggle that key about 14 times, and I'm not sure we have a key to that one. Folks, that's no way to run a railroad. Keep your home in good shape. Do you keep a can of gas or propane in your garage? If you do, I want you to call the fire marshal and have him come out to your house and give you a ticket. Those firefighters are going to go in there and you're going to have a big can of gas, or even worse yet, an empty can of propane is extremely dangerous. Wow. Folks. Can you put your hands on the abstract or know where it is right now to your property? Are you sure you're able to care for your yard in proper fashion? These are just 15 easy questions that you should be able to answer. You should be able to answer. You should pay attention to each one of them. Don't have to do them all this afternoon, but there you go. I think that's a pretty good checkup. All right. Well, last week I left you with the old cliffhanger from the B serial movies that used to come out in the 1930s and 40s, Hollywood. The old cliffhanger. You know, they'd have the guy on the log, and he's heading for the sawmill, and the big saw blade. And next week, come back, and somehow he got out of the deal. Well, here's the deal. Last week I said 100 years ago in Iowa City something happened, and what was it? And the answer was the Finkbein brothers, as in Finkbein Golf Course. The Finkbein brothers, W-O-N-E-C Finkbein, donated 17 acres of their land to the University of Iowa. That was the what I put up for it. And it was to be used as the campus golf course. So the Finkbein brothers, who were farmers by trade, as far as I know, they donated 17 acres of land to be used for a campus golf course. And my question to you was, where was it? They gave 17 acres of land. Now, wait a minute, 17 acres. How about Finkbein Golf Course, Rex? You big dummy. There's Finkbein Golf Course. Well, folks, that's way, way more than 17 acres. Well, now, wait a minute. There was a golf course down along the Corville Strip. Yes, that was called North Finkbein or Little Finkbein, because in the golf world there was North Finkbein or Little Finkbein down along the Corville Strip. And there was the new Finkbein, which was in the 1950s. I remember all the road graders and the dirt work over there in the 50s when they made South Finkbein, or roughly just now Finkbein. but there was a campus golf course. Where was it? There was another golf course. Honest to God, there was. No, Rex, you're crazy. You're a pet coon. Where was it? Well, it was called the upper course, Upper Finkbine. Upper Finkbine. And where was it? Well, the clubhouse was in the woods behind where the Ronald McDonald House is now. And if you want to go for a walk up in there and get a tick, go ahead. I've done it. Didn't get a tick, but I was up there. In fact, we had a Boy Scout camp out back there in the 60s before the Ronald McDonald House. In fact, the old clubhouse was still up there, kind of in shambles by then. Okay, it was up there where Carver Arena is. It was up there where the Ronald McDonald House is. The University of Iowa baseball field. The University of Iowa football training building was up there, and more. It was the home course for the University of Iowa for many years. Amazing. All that land that they donated and they sold to the University of Iowa, they gave 17 acres up there for a golf course. Now, when they did that, it became a pretty darn nice. It was right west of the athletic department, right west of the football stadium. It was real close to the Quonset huts, so a lot of the people who lived in the Quonset huts. Do you remember the Quonset huts up by the stadium, in the parking lot, right immediately west of the Kinnick Stadium, what is now Kinnick Stadium, were Quonset huts that were just what kind of, if you know what a Quonset hut is, they were duplexes, kind of long building made with the or corrugated steel type things. Bare necessities at best. They were for married students and their families after the war. There was a housing crunch here in Iowa City, in all universities. I don't know how other universities handled it, but at Iowa they built Quonset huts. It's over there where the dental building is. That was all Quonset huts. Templin Road down there at the bottom, down across the street from the Arts Center and Hansher, where it was along the river. A lot of that area down there was all Quonset huts. Templin Park, Quonset huts. Lots and lots of people. If you ask around town, ask some people you know now, did they grow up in the Quonset hut there on the university campus? You're going to be surprised at how many people did. Did you grow up in one? Do you have stories of how the furnace didn't work or you had to beat on the wall 4 times to get the plumbing to run? There are great stories, wonderful stories about that. So that's what happened. They gave that. Now, they also gave the land, they sold the land to the university for what is now Finkbine Golf Course. And there used to be a sign out front that said E.C. Finkbine. Well, the university bought that from him. But the backstory about that is what? The backstory about that was the Finkbine farm. And who was trying to buy that before the university? Who was trying to buy that before the University of Iowa to make a housing development out of it? Wow. Well, is that ready to talk about today? Well, I'll just tell you, a man named Bert Manville. Manville Heights, that was Bert Manville. He tried to make a deal so he could build housing there, and the university bought it. Just cut him off at the pass. I don't know that most likely the university offered more money, would be my guess. So what did Bert Manville do? He was a house builder up in Manville Heights. He needed some lots. He wanted to build houses. He wanted to build some, quote, he never used the term, but affordable. I don't like that term myself, but there are other terms we could use. Affordable housing. So what he did, he bought the Ryland Farm. The Ryland Farm in Coralville, which wasn't part of Coralville, but that would be up around Coralville Central School. That would be from roughly the old school, roughly, just west of there, 5th Avenue, up to about 9th Avenue. He bought all that north up to the tracks. And that land also went from the Ryland Farm. The house is on 6th Avenue in Coralville, the old Ryland place there. Take you right to it. That's what he bought instead of Finkbine Farm. He didn't get it. Wow. So then the Finkbine Golf Course down along the strip down there, 9 holes. I played that 1,000,000 times. As a kid, we'd get on our bikes and put our golf clubs. We'd ride down there and we'd play there. I think it was $1.50 or $1.25, and had a pond there. We'd wade in the pond and find golf balls, things like that. But part of the deal, what they did with the university, do you know what it said? Do you know what the deed restriction was down there? Interesting. It said it had to be used for a golf course. Well, that's what you gave it to us for. That's what we're going to use it for. Remember now, it has to be used for a golf course or the land will revert back to the Finkbine family. Well, not a problem. We got a golf course down there. Except what happened down there? What happened almost all the time down there? Flooded. Yeah. So the University of Iowa track is down there. It's softball, women's softball complex, or the softball comp is down there. And there's some unusable land because it's a lowland. It's a wetland down there. So the university, after all the flood of '93 and other floods, you'd play down there. They'd have one hole closed for the water to recede, things like that. Well, the university called the Finkbein family in so many words and said that we've got a problem. We had a flood, and they said basically too bad on the golf course. But it didn't say how many holes had to be down there. So the University of Iowa, over the years, during the flood period and things like that, they'd have 3 holes open, 2 holes open, anything they could to keep golf course open down there. Or the whole place would revert to the Finkbein family. Now, as the years went by, finally, out in Arizona, the last of the Finkbein heirs, ones in the will, I guess, what my understanding, passed away, and then the family sat down with the university and hammered out a deal, which was a no-brainer, I'm sure, that they got a check for the Finkbein, lower Finkbein golf course, and now it's the softball diamonds. There's the walking trail in there, great walking trail, by the way, folks, and the track is down there. Great story from the Finkbeins, who just innocently gave the university 17 acres of land. And do you know some of the people who played it? Now Kinnick, first time Now Kinnick ever played it, he parred it. Now, it wasn't a particularly challenging course, but remember now, they had 2 courses. They had the one down along the strip and had one up on the hill, the campus one. So that was 18 holes. So it was an 18-hole track, as far as I know. So that's a story about the Finkbeins. It's called Finkbein Field. It's called Finkbein Golf Course. People ask you, where did the Finkbein name, kind of a funny name, where did Finkbein come from? That was the name of the farmers and the family that owned Finkbein Golf Course. So that's about what I've got up my sleeve, except I want you to think about this. The senior is called the Wonder Years. Being a senior, you're now in the Wonder Years, and what that means is I wonder where my keys are. I wonder where my phone is, and I wonder where my glasses are, and I wonder why I came into this room. So hang tough, folks. Enjoy being a senior. It's all we've got left. Hang in there, and thanks for listening. This is Rex Brandstatter from Senior Talk saying we'll see you next time. So long.
Looking for a place with a fun, casual atmosphere? Check out the Solon American Legion, a downtown staple for decades and a gathering place for veterans of all ages from all over the area. The Solon American Legion focuses on the basics, like home-style breakfasts, diner-style baskets and appetizers,